Hello everyone, as some of you may know, there are a lot of blocks hidden under this More Blocks menu. These range from something as useless as putting up pictures on the screen of your device to something as cool as, wait, no spoilers. Sorry, guess you'll just have to watch the video you willingly clicked. This is the first video in a series about these blocks. I will cover the more sensors, more motors, and more movement tabs. Today we are talking about the more motors. Let's dive right in. So the first one I want to talk about is the more motors section, as you know. To begin with, we have this kind of nondescript go to relative position at percent speed. And this does something kind of cool. When you start your program, the robot's relative position is 0, like right here. As the motor spins, that changes. So if I manually spin the wheel 90 degrees, it will be 90. This basically just makes the motor spin until it reaches whatever position you input here. Kind of cool, but I can also see why it is in the more section, especially after seeing some of the other blocks in this section. Next we have the set relative position to block. And what this one does is, if it's at 0, it basically resets that position. You can set it to like 60 or whatever, and then that's the relative position. And this is cool if you've got something like, these two relative position blocks are cool if you've got something like a forklift or a program where you want the robot to move a very precise amount. Other than that, I mean, it's not super useful, if you know what I mean. Third, we have this relative position input, and basically what you would do, take something like this, put it in here, and play a higher pitched beep the higher the relative position is. It's just like any of the other input blocks, nothing much, but it has its uses sometimes. Then we have the start motor at percent power block. On the surface, it doesn't look all that different from the set speed block, because it isn't. It's like the set speed block combined with the start motor block, only it's more useless. Okay, I will say the power thing is nice because it's like an unregulated power, meaning that it will spin the same regardless of stress. Motors will spin harder if they're pushing against something or whatever. Just the way these work. This doesn't care about any of that because it's power. But even still, they could have given it like two separate blocks, like with start motor at unregulated, or start motor unregulated, set power to percent, but they just kind of combine it together. Not a huge fan of this block, but doesn't mean we can't continue. Then we've got the power input, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's like this, but it's power instead of speed. And in case you're wondering, power is basically a combination of speed and torque. Torque is kind of the strength of something. Speed is how fast it's going. So if you have a big gear powering a small gear, that the small gear will have a lot of speed. It will not have a lot of torque. The opposite is also true. If you have a small gear powering a large gear, super slow, ton of torque. Moving on, this is the single coolest block in the more motors section, and it's kind of confusing at first. You've got the brake at stop, and I mean, just set it to all. Set motor to brake at stop. And what this does is, as soon as any motor stops, it will immediately brake. The robot will apply power to keep it at 0. Or it won't apply power to keep it at 0, but it will like cut power to the motors. It'll apply stress to make sure that it's not moving anywhere. Coast is the opposite. As soon as you tell the program to stop the motors, the robot will keep going a bit until like friction just stops it. It's not applying power to stop it. Hold position's a bit weird because basically it's like the brake, but if you try to push it, it will return. Like if you push it backwards, it'll go forwards again. If you push it forwards, it'll go back to where it was. And then once you start moving differently, it'll stop. Lastly is this set acceleration to block. Now, because these are in the more motors section, and I really haven't messed around with this much yet, I didn't know this existed when I made a certain video that you can watch. Please click the link. It's a cool video. It's more useful than this. So what this does is multiple C. It sets the acceleration speed to medium. So when you start your motors, this is how fast it accelerates. You can also have it at slow and fast. It's not the best. My program is still probably better because you can control it a lot more. This, it's just 3 kind of nondescript options. You don't really know what any of them do. Then again, this is a bit simpler. That doesn't mean you shouldn't check out my video. Please, this isn't an ad. It totally is an ad. Still, check it out. That's all. Thanks everybody for watching. That is all for today's video. I will be doing a second part about the more movement block and a third part about the more sensors blocks very soon. Thanks for watching again.